Hello again, Mitchell here. Um, Today we're going to do a little bit of a meditation. Also, we're going to look at silence, I think. And I've talked about silence in the past, but today we're gonna kind of see silence as it relates to intention. Because I think throughout our entire lives, we've been taught to think about what we want and then place our intention on what it is that we want. And we haven't been taught the value of silence and how silence is really the way to get to that place. But it's counterintuitive, especially well, maybe not counterintuitive, but it goes counter to our conditioning, so it's counter conditioning. But before we start, before we go any deeper, remember, when you're listening to my videos, we're going to do the basic breath. This is an awesome opportunity to come into the basic breath. And the basic breath is in and out only through the nose, tongue to the roof of the mouth, just behind the front teeth. And we're breathing into the solar plexus, down into the diaphragm, right here. So the bottom of the rib cage, and then there's that bottom of the sternum. That's where your focus is going to be. And you're going to feel the diaphragm lift and rise, lift and rise, lift and fall, fall and rise. And it's going to work with calming, down-regulating your system. And it's also going to help to counter any sympathetic residue that happens to be in your system from any small stresses. And in this day and age, just getting out of bed in a box is a stress. Our homes are boxes. We have square edges everywhere. It's a little different than what our basic autonomic nervous system grew up in. And so even that can trigger some sort of small response. But that's a story for another time. Or if you want me to expand on it, please leave me a note in the comments. And while we're here, like, subscribe, all that stuff. One more thing. On our exhale, that's our focus is going to be on our exhale, and our exhale should be longer than our inhale. And if you're ready, or if you can, try to extend your exhale to twice as long as your inhale. Okay? So back to silence and how it goes along with intention. So it seems like we spend, especially in our adult lives, working for the things that we want, pursuing the things that we want, really with very little questioning as to why we want them, other than it's adds on to the last thing that we wanted. And that's kind of how it goes. It's a momentum that starts as you gather things, as you find what your interests are in this life experience. You begin to gather things that feed your likes, your interests, and that becomes nearly insatiable. And that's part of the brain always wanting to do the next thing down the line, and its tendency, its natural tendency to always go maybe to the next level, and maybe sometimes too far. So where does silence fit into this? Well, I could kind of go back to sleep. So they talk about like when you're in school and you're cramming for an exam, and they say, studies show that if you sleep well before your exam, you will do better. And that's because as you sleep, as you become silent, as the mind stops trying to gather all the things, when it becomes quiet, the dust settles, and those unimportant parts fall to the bottom, whereas the important parts stay prominent or become even more prominent within your awareness. And so when you take that exam, you remember the big things, because all those little bits and pieces have been filtered out through the sleep process. Now, when we sit in silence, when we practice silence, it's doing a very similar thing, but you're learning to actively go there. Now, I do a lot of meditations here, and one of the things we do is when we close our eyes, we bring our awareness in with the breath down to the solar plexus. And I generally like to start with the solar plexus because it's bringing your awareness inside down to this core of your being. The solar plexus, it's the battery, the energetic core of who you are. And so when you bring your awareness there, it can feed it. It can help to strengthen that. And what is it that we're strengthening? It's your ability to focus, and it's your ability to pull your awareness from that magnetic pull of thinkingness. So if your awareness is, and this is true, your awareness is independent of thinkingness, but so many of us don't know that. Our conditioning has placed awareness, thinking, and awareness and thinking as one. But thinking, it's independent. It's of its own. It does that. Thinking will happen whether you focus on it or not. It's nearly an unstoppable machine as long as you're in this human contraption. So the thinking happens, but you can move your focus away from the thinking. The nice thing about that is once you get practiced at pulling your awareness into other places besides thinking begins to come into more I was going to say more into control, but you don't really ever control your thoughts. They come. It's a stream. But it becomes less disruptive. It becomes less magnetic because you found the peace that happens when you bring your focus outside of thinkingness. Now, another component that I talk about and we work on through our meditations, and I just did one. Our last meditation was bringing the awareness down into the body. The reason, or one of the wonderful things about having a body, is that there is intelligence in the body. Now, the body itself can be somewhat silent. We have a friend joining us. This is Booga. So the body itself, compared to thinkingness, is silent. But it isn't entirely silent. It carries so much of our memory, so much of who we are, that once you activate this listening that's deep in the body, you begin to activate the entire body as a magnet, just like your mind is a magnet for awareness. When you place your awareness in the body, your body becomes a magnet for those things that you truly want, that you've put into your energetic wish list, your energetic bucket list. So as you come into the body and you use the body as your anchor, the body magnetizes, brings in those pieces that maybe originated from thoughts in the head, from the senses that said that this is where my interest lies, and these are what my likes are, and now the body can pull those in. So the mind, a lot of times, does a push-pull thing. It says, well, this is my likes and these are my dislikes. And so I'm going to work on getting these things and work on pushing those other things away. Well, the body doesn't do that. The body just works on that which is wanted. Now, you've probably heard, if you've listened to any manifestation talks or read anything about manifestation, that there is no in the universe. Everything's a yes, and that is very true. So when the mind is saying, I don't like purple, but I like orange, then the mind gives equal weight to purple and orange. So if you're trying to attract orange over purple through the mind is actually giving them equal weight, because even though it's saying yes orange, no purple, it's saying purple orange, purple orange, purple orange. That's all the universe hears, because the mind is just creative. It's seeing purple, it's experiencing purple, and in fact, a lot of times the things that you don't want are stronger within the mind, and so those are the things that show up in your experience maybe more frequently. So when you take the filter, the natural filter that the body is, and bring your focus, your awareness here deep inside, and listen. That's probably the best way to come into silence, is listen to the body. Really bring your focus, your awareness, your listening into the core of the body. So what I like to do, we're going to do just a small mini meditation here. Tongue to the roof of the mouth, breathing in and out only through the nose. Exhale longer than the inhale. Close the eyes, follow the breath in and down. And then bring the breath all the way down to the diaphragm. And then with your inner eye, your eyes are closed, you're inside, just sense, feel, watch, however you want to experience it, the rise and fall of the diaphragm. Now, believe it or not, this is bringing in those things that you've put into your wish list and filtering out those things that are in the do not want list. Very much like your sleep before the exam filters out all the things that you don't need to know as much as, and bringing into prominence within your awareness the things that you do need to know. So that's your meditation, is to learn to listen to the silence that that the body offers, and you'll actually learn that it isn't a silence, that it's a It's a language all of its own. And it's speaking. But you've got to be very quiet mentally in order to begin to calibrate to the language of the body, because the language of the body is far different than the very overt language of the mind and thinking. There's, the words that the mind has don't exist in the body. The body has feeling. The body has experience, witnessing, and so that's where the body works. And so just be in the body. The feelings that you can begin to really pay attention to and feed and expand on are the feelings of appreciation, gratitude, love, joy, peace, and all of the simple things that I have you doing with the nose breathing, tongue to the roof of the mouth, longer exhale than inhale, and diaphragm breathing, all add to this language, because they're hooking you up with the physiology that builds the sensations of well-being and peace, and therefore love, and which for the body may be, and for people in general, may be fairly esoteric. It can really find expression there. Appreciation can find expression, whereas the more tangible feelings of just peace, for example, are the bed in which that those the garden bed in which those other feelings can grow, take root, that maybe are less specific. Love, what is that? So anyway, that's about what I have for you here today. Wonderful to have Booga here with me. If you have any comments, if you have any questions, if you would like meditations built specifically for you or things that you are working on, please reach out. You can contact me through YouTube here or through the comments. You can look me up online. It's Mitchell Mead or Mitchell. Mitchell.com is my website. My email is m@mitchell.com. Look for my book. It's called The Importance of Flying. And that's just my own personal experiences from decades ago. But it'll give you maybe a little bit of a opportunity to see, what others have experienced. So anyway, that's what I have for you. Thank you so much. It was wonderful chatting, and you guys have an awesome day. Bye-bye.